Hi, everybody. I'm Isabella Bryant. I am a trauma-informed life coach here at Witness Love Family Counseling Services. And today I'm here with my dad, Samuel Bryant, who is a licensed professional counselor, also the owner and founder of Witness to Love Family Counseling Services out here in Phoenix. Today, we're going to be talking about marriage.
Awesome.
Dad, how long have you been counseling couples for now?
About 10 years.
About 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Married 32 years myself.
8 kids.
8
13
kids.
grandkids.
13 grandkids.
Yep. So lots of experience here is
Yeah.
what we're going for.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I asked some of our followers, some of our friends, just any questions they would maybe have for a Catholic marriage counselor. So that's what we're going to be getting into today, some of those questions, and then we'll kind of jive off of those.
Awesome.
But if this is something you're interested in hearing more about, we would just love if you could support our podcast, the Witness Love podcast, and just subscribe to our YouTube channel or just anywhere that you listen to or watch this show.
Awesome.
And like this video.
That would be great.
Yeah, we'd love the support. So, Dad.
What's up? I'm ready.
Okay, first question, which is so fun. This is anonymous. One of my friends asked it. And I thought it was so good. How would you handle something new coming up in your marriage that you didn't notice before, that you kind of quote unquote don't like, or it's causing a rift in your relationship?
Like the way.
They do something maybe,
yes.
or think about something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number one, you would want to ask the person who's irritated, why is this thing irritating them?
Right.
Right. What is it bringing up for them? All right. And look for the answer to the problem within themselves. Right. Because we want to learn over time how to love the person we're married to, as opposed to loving an ideal of the person I thought I married. Right. And I think a lot of times, because this is going to happen, this question is going to happen in every couple, right? Because if you go from a non-living together relationship to living together, now you're going to start to see, well, what does that person do with their underwear in the morning, right? Is it on the ground right there next to my bed? Is it in the bathroom on the floor, right? What does the person do? How do they clean up after themselves, right? So all these little things will start to happen once you're married, right? And it's important not to start complaining or whining about everything that pops up that you don't like.
Because there's going to be probably quite a few. Right.
And if it's a moral issue, it's a moral question. If, I discovered my husband is addicted to pornography.
Right.
Now that's a bigger issue
Right.
that needs to be dealt with. But if it's, I don't like the way my husband eats cereal in the morning.
Yeah.
Learn to deal with it as soon as possible. Meaning, don't allow yourself to complain.
Right.
Right.
So it's almost more of a you issue at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
For the person, who's
Right,
thinking about it.
The first thing you want to do is always question yourself.
Right. Get
Right?
curious.
Why is this thing bothering me? What do I need to do to be different here? As opposed to thinking my partner is the problem,
Right.
and my partner needs to change so I feel better about myself. That can become problematic. It turns into a situation where, in the scripture it says, take the beam out of your own eye,
Right.
so you can take the splinter out of your partner's eye. Most people that come to therapy with the idea, please fix my husband.
Yeah.
Please fix my wife. They don't come into therapy with, hey, I see I'm the problem in my marriage, right? I have these things I need to work on so I can be better in my marriage. Now that would be wonderful, but 90% of the time that's not what's happening.
Yeah. Interesting. So it's kind of, what would you recommend going into marriage, right? So that was great advice. I feel like you have to kind of look at yourself. If I'm irritated, if I'm starting to be resentful, it's my responsibility to look into that and take care of that. My partner or people in my life are not responsible for my emotions or my feelings.
Absolutely.
So is it kind of like getting into that zone of thinking before you enter into marriage is really, would you say it's really important? Or learning how to transition into that in marriage, because it's going to come up so much that this person you become one with essentially are going to
If
have
you could start
issues.
before you're married,
Right.
praise God, you're a step ahead.
Yeah.
But usually these things don't really manifest themselves until you are actually living together
Right.
in the sacrament of marriage. And now over time, because you're changing also. Let's say you get married at 23, right? You're still very young. There's a lot of things you're going to grow into. And then you add children to the mix, or loss of job, or there's so many things that can happen. If a person can learn when they have a difficulty to look interior first,
Right.
right?
Look
That
interior
changes everything,
Yeah.
right? So one of the things I try to do and try to educate people to do is, let's say my wife comes to me and says something that aggravates me, whatever that is. I want to ask myself a question first. How do I want to respond? That keeps me from falling into resentment or being reactionary. I want to be proactive. So I want to be proactive and think, how do I want to respond? Maybe no response is necessary.
Right.
A lot of times we respond, we don't need to respond. We just need to say, oh, wow, I see you're upset.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to, why are you talking to me that way? Right? You shouldn't be talking to me that way, blah, blah, blah. Right? So if we can be more thoughtful when we engage, that makes a big difference. What I've noticed in my work is, once we get married, sometimes we tend to lose our manners really quickly.
Right.
Right? Saying please and thank you and being kind. We start to just take each other for granted. I mean, this can happen really quick in a marriage.
Right.
If you're not intentional about practicing kindness, practicing gentleness, being thoughtful, being caring, those basic principles keep us away from becoming resentful when these little bumps in the road pop up. Right, some little irritations.
Right. I love that. I'm not married, so this is all things I'm learning about.
So you're going to be a step ahead when that finally comes down.
Well, yeah, hopefully, with your help and everybody else's. Interesting. Okay, the next question that I have, I'm going to go. So I feel like that's kind of early marriage stuff we're talking about here. I'm going to skip ahead to this question that I thought was really interesting. It says, how would you help boost your communication with your spouse after 8 years? So we're kind of getting more into, we've got quite a few years in our marriage. We're used to each other. But, yeah, how would we, level up, I guess, our communication after this amount of time married?
I think there's, like in Gottman's work, and you can go online to find different tools that help you communicate with each other. I mean, because fundamentally what we're looking for is curiosity. How do we maintain curiosity over the course of a marriage? We don't want to get to a place where it's like, I know you, I kind of got you boxed in, right? And I don't really let you out of the box. And if you act out of the box, then I'm all weirded out.
Yeah.
It's healthier to stay curious, because once again, after 8 years, is there children? Right? That could start to break down communication, right? You got married 8 years, 3 young children, husband's feeling left out, neglected. He wants to communicate, but he doesn't want to be a burden on his wife, right? All those things can happen that can deteriorate communication, right? And these things are natural. Another thing a person can do that's been married for some time is be intentional about scheduling time to sit down and talk together about what's going on in their marriage. Dr. Gottman calls it a state of the union, right? You can go online and look at what that means. But it's basically taking an hour out of your week to where you sit down and talk about your marriage, right? So you're staying on top of where the other person is, asking them what's going on with their life, how are they doing with the children, how are they doing at work? Because you want to be aware of your partner's daily life. Like if your husband goes off to work, you want to kind of understand what your husband is doing, what difficulties he may be having at work. So if you called him up during the day and just checked in on him, you'd be like, hey, honey, hope things are going well with that meeting you had today. I'm praying for you.
Right.
Right? That really fosters intimate communication. Because once again, we want to know each other.
Yeah.
We don't want to stop knowing. We don't want to stop learning about the other.
Right. Yeah. So staying curious, continuing to ask questions, and desiring to be involved in their life, even the parts that are maybe feeling a little separated from each other.
Exactly.
Okay.
And being intentional about sitting down and talking
Right.
about the marriage.
Right.
Right? Couples can go kind of a long time without really sitting down and talking. Well, what's going on? What are we doing?
Right.
Right?
Like once a month kind of thing, would you say, or
Once a month is okay.
maybe more?
Ideally, once a week, a State of
Right.
the Union type of meeting.
Okay.
Right? It's really simple. Right? You start with the positive. Right? You talk about what's going well in the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Then you give each other 5 affirmations. I appreciate this about you. Right? And then you just go back and forth.
Okay.
Then you pick a problem to talk about. One problem, right? And you try to stay with the one problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, you may ask your spouse something like, how can I love you better this week?
Yeah.
Right? So this is just a simple Gottman exercise. And that's Dr. John Gottman, who wrote the book, 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. So even if you got that book, the exercise would be in there.
Yeah.
But what that does is illustrate that in order for a couple to remain healthy, they need to be intentional, right? If I'm not intentional about communicating, sharing my needs, sharing my hurts, sharing my desires, you're going to grow apart. There's going to create a divide, right?
And you think the main reasons that people might move away from that intentionality, or might just not there might just not have ever been a conversation, or might have never looked like it should be that intentional? You know how it seems like maybe dating relationships before marriage aren't like that. So how would it kind of transition into that?
Well,
does that make sense?
Yes. So during the, let's say, dating engagement process, there's a lot of strong emotional feelings, right, that carry the relationship. Those strong emotional feelings don't stay. Right? And in order to foster strong connection, you need to be intentional.
Okay.
Right? It's not going to last. Once again, in the regular family that gets married, has children, there's work issues. Now your husband's working 60, 70 hours a week. You see him a few hours a week. All those things create difficulties for the couple. And if there's not intentional communication, so let's say if I do work 60 hours a week, am I making time for my wife? Am I making time for my husband? Let's say I've got 3 kids, 5 years old and younger. Am I giving my husband time? Are we being intentionally intimate? Because in the midst of that, a husband working 60 hours a week, a mother at home with 3 young children, right? You're tired most of the time. You're not thinking necessarily romantically. So that's where, once again, the idea of being intentional really comes into play. It's easy to get lost, right, and create significant distance to where it's like you're just kind of living in the same house together.
Right. And you see that as a single person, you see that in your just daily life. You get so busy and you're not intentional, and we have a relationship with ourselves and different.
Absolutely.
And I find myself not being intentional in my relationship with myself. So I could see how that would easily translate to a relationship. And I do think it's really interesting. The big point is your big emotions, how much you love and care for someone, which is so good and beautiful that you can feel that, and you do feel that for somebody, and how fun and exciting it is, and maybe how well you guys get along.
Yes.
Those are all, I don't think those are bad things to desire and want in a relationship in any way.
Absolutely.
But really being grounded in the fact that is not going to last. So I'm entering into my marriage knowing that this won't permeate all problems or all issues.
So I'm not trying to be a downer on marriage.
Yeah.
It's just, what is the reality of marriage? Marriage is sacrifice.
Right.
Right? That's just the reality. I know we've gotten away from it in the world, and we don't like that language. But once again, I've been married 32 years. We have 8 children. I believe I am the most blessed man on the planet.
Right.
Has it been tough? Yes, it's been tough because a lot of times I've been a jerk. I've been not present. But taking everything as a whole, I wouldn't change anything,
Yeah.
right? And now I truly believe the love I have for my wife is deeper, more broad, more substantial than what we had before we were married, right? And having that adult, let's call it contentedness, right? I think is really, really important. I'm extremely content in my marriage. I'm ridiculously spoiled. But does that mean there's no cross, there's no sacrifice? No, there is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And learning how to bear sacrifices together well is a significant key to maintaining a healthy marriage.
Yeah. That's why I love the Catholic view of marriage as a sacrament, but it's not just a sacrament, so like a physical sign of can you finish that for me?
Spiritual reality.
Spiritual reality. Which is amazing and beautiful, but my whole goal here is to get me and my husband to heaven.
Praise God. Absolutely.
And so in that, there's so much. So I know it's like, it's going to be hard. There's suffering. But I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Suffering can be so amazing and exciting and hopeful because it's like, I'm trying to get to heaven.
Absolutely.
And so there's so much purpose and there's so much direction in it. And it's not. And that's why I think it feels so sad even, secular marriage or just suffering in a secular sense. It just seems so, of course I would be so distraught if it seems so pointless.
Yes.
Because that'd be horrible.
Yes.
The reality of, my suffering or others' suffering that's really bad is purposeless.
Yes.
Would be so, And I've felt that before. I've entered into that thought process before.
Absolutely.
And it really is devastating.
Yes.
So to kind of look at marriage as, okay, this is a hard thing. That's not always going to be fun, but it's for my eternal salvation.
Absolutely.
And I can find joy and hope in that whenever, just by reminding myself of that.
Yes.
Seems really just so exciting.
So
and
something
hopeful.
that's beautiful about what you're saying is suffering can exist in a person at the same time as prosperity, as fruitfulness.
Right.
They exist together. There may be something I'm struggling with in my life, but there's other things that are bringing me great fruit, great consolation.
Right.
And learning how to suffer well, and this isn't popular, right? I hear therapists saying, well, if you do X, Y, or Z, you're going to have bliss. I think you can have healthy happiness by embracing the reality of sacrifice and suffering. There's certain things I'm going to suffer, right? And that's okay.
Yeah. I don't really deserve anything different, too.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. That's something I have more questions I want to get
Gotcha.
to.
Yeah, don't get me started on the whole deserve question.
Okay. The one thing, though, is going into marriage. For me, at least, I've experienced most of my siblings. A lot of my siblings are married. A lot of friends are married. And it's not like if you do all these right things in life and even for me, I'm 26 and I get to experience a lot of other people's relationships and learn from them. What a blessing. Yes. It's not like, I'm getting old and I'm not married. It's like, it's such a blessing that if I do get married, I'll enter into it in a different way than if I was 22.
Absolutely.
Praise God. I did not get married at 22. Because that would be crazy.
I think I would say the same thing about myself.
So I just think, though, like I look at it and I'm like, my friends are so beautiful and amazing.
Yes.
My siblings are so beautiful and amazing, and they've done so many good things, and they really try, and they're faithful, and they have a lot. Everyone has hard marriages, honestly. I don't know anyone who doesn't have a hard marriage. So to me, I'm like, oh, wow, no matter what anyone does in life, or even if I choose super well, I don't deserve a good or not hard, or I liked how AJ said it on our podcast, a not challenging marriage.
Yes.
And I don't want anything to not be challenging, because then where's the growth and where's the movement? So anyways, I'm just thinking about that, like going into marriage, not thinking like, like I deserve it and it's all going to be like happy and good. It's just, I'm entering into the reality of this thing, this sacrament that everyone really does say, no matter what I've done and how hard I've tried to do it well, it's going to be challenging and difficult, and that's okay. Okay. We're gonna go. We're gonna go to before marriage. I thought this was a great question. For a couple who's seriously dating and discerning marriage, what kind of conversations are important to have / maybe non-negotiables besides the basics like faith, politics, money, like how many kids you want to have? Like, do you have anything that you've seen in your marriage counseling where you're like, wow, these would be really great conversations to have before you're married, and really important ones?
I think I was very blessed before your mom and I got married to see her mom and her family element, right? And see kind of how they act and behave. I was like, oh, I have an idea,
Right.
right? So you can have two very faithful Catholic people that come together and are dating and looking for marriage, but still with very different family backgrounds,
Right.
right? One can come from a family with a strong father who is kind of more dominant. Another one can come from a family where the mother is more of a dominant character. All those things mean something, right? Because they're going to influence your partner, right? And what they think is normal,
Right.
right? And so I think it's good to have a conversation about what was your family like? What was it like for you growing up? How do you envision your mom?
Right.
How do you envision your dad? I had one client share that his wife would say things to him like, my dad, he worked a full-time job and he would come home and still help around the house. Which is very, very difficult
Right.
comparison. Gottman calls those negative comparisons. We do not want to do it. So I think it's important to learn the culture of the other, the family dynamics of the other,
Wow.
and even ask questions about creating scenarios like the talk we're thinking about giving this week. What does it mean to be head of the house?
Right.
What are our family roles? Who's more in charge of household duties? Is the husband going to be the sole provider? Are they both going to work? If they both work, what does that mean as far as household chores? Right? Because imagine a man whose dad never did any work around the house,
Right.
like me. I'm sorry, that's bad. Who's married to a woman who works full time just like him, and comes home and sits on the couch and watches football while his wife cleans up and
Makes
food. That might be pretty difficult, right? Once
Right.
again, the husband thinks it's normal because that's what his dad did, right? And the wife may be like, well, my dad didn't do that. My dad helped.
Right. So that's my normal, and
That's
that's
my
what
normal.
obviously, if I'm my normal, I expect of my husband.
Absolutely.
Right. So good to have that conversation, especially before they're married, so
Oh, yeah.
they know what the expectations are, and there's not like, oh, I'm living in this like fantasy world kind of because
Absolutely.
I'm imposing my experiences onto you.
Yeah, if you can see your partner's family and your partner interacting with their family, it's just good to understand. And then talk
Right.
about those lesser family dynamics that are kind of important. They can create a lot of conflict in marriage if we disagree. I feel neglected. I feel like I'm not an equal because my husband never helps me around the house,
Right.
right? And we both work full-time jobs. That can become a problem.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't imagine it. That sounds pretty horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So from my experience with couples and my own personal experience, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Learning, once again, you can be two faithful Catholics with the same core beliefs, come from two very different families,
Right.
right? And even like questions about how to discipline children, right?
That's huge.
How are we going to do that,
Yeah.
right? How did they do that in your family, right? Those are huge questions. And who's going to be more the disciplinarian? Are we going to allow the dad to do that? Or are we going to have the mom do that? I know a lot of times I encounter moms who are very hurt, frustrated, wounded, that they feel left to be the disciplinarian. And they don't want to be that. They want their husbands to step in and be the disciplinarian.
Yeah.
But maybe the man grew up in a home where mom did all that,
Right.
right? So once again, it becomes the norm for him,
Okay.
right? But it leaves his wife hurt, feeling
Right.
neglected, feeling alone.
Right. Yeah. So really trying to understand your spouse's or your
Partners,
partners'
family
family
dynamics.
dynamics, so that you can figure that out a little bit beforehand. Like, oh, okay, this was going on did you, and even ask questions like, how did you feel about that? Like, maybe some of it's actually been hurtful or traumatic, but it might still be their norm.
Yes.
And kind of just giving them an option to, I think what's so cool about this conversation is giving you, the girlfriend or the boyfriend or the spouse, it's an option. Like, in our marriage, we can heal these wounds.
Yes.
So we don't have to do the same things our parents did.
Absolutely.
And we can give a different experience to our children. But if you don't have that conversation, then it's really hard to break those cycles.
And it could be vice versa too, meaning I could have healthy examples from my parents that I want to imitate.
Right.
Right. So it kind of goes both ways.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So once again, talking to your partner about their family dynamics, being open when you see it, because God created us a certain way. We kind of become our parents. That's the way we were made. Right. So when you see your partner's parents and how they interact, sometimes you're looking at your partner.
Right.
Right. And you should expect that your partner may behave in this same pattern.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the more important things I see, because we just kind of unthoughtfully enter into marriage.
Yeah.
Right? And think what I believe is the norm. And we're kind of shocked when we learn it's not the norm for the other. Right? And if my norm is right, now we're having problems, because if my norms are right, you can only be right if you agree with me. Then we're entering into contempt, which is a problem. Make sense?
Yep, makes sense. Okay. Let's ask another question. I feel like I'm going to kind of put these two together.
Awesome.
So it's, what tools do you recommend to de-escalate an argument? And then there's also, I thought these kind of go together, how do you emulate our love for Christ while going through an argument or going through a disagreement?
Gotcha.
So it kind of brings the faith aspect into the, the tools.
Yeah, that's a really good question. The key to it is regulation, right? I need to stay regulated, because if I move into being triggered, I'm going to start becoming reactive.
Right.
Right? And my reactive self may not be very healthy. Right? So one key component is, once again, it's a type of self-care, self-regulation, where I'm talking to myself regularly. Once again, like I said earlier, if I'm in an argument or a discussion with my wife and it's uncomfortable, if I'm in her mind, what's wrong with her? Why is she talking to me that way? I can't believe this is happening. If I'm over there, I don't have any power, right? And I'm going to lose my regulation. I'm going to get angry, probably resentful. But if I'm asking myself in this dialogue, once again, what is going on with me? Why am I feeling this way? And this is the big one. How do I want to respond? Once again, that's proactive, right? Usually if I'm triggered, once again, it's all reaction.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to stay in a place where I'm proactive. If I find myself reactive, the best thing to do is to get out of the conversation.
Right.
Right? Honey, I'm not feeling well right now. I'm feeling a little triggered. Can we come back to this conversation in 30 minutes? That's a basic Gottman principle.
Right.
Regulation is key. And staying out of contempt, meaning a lot of my couples will come in and they're describing their partner. Well, he's thinking this and he's thinking that, and this is what he's doing. And that's very problematic.
Right.
So a part of a healthy conversation is describing oneself, right? So if I'm in a heated conversation about finances, discipline of the children, sexual intimacy, I want to make sure I'm operating right here and not operating in my wife's mind, in my wife's thoughts, right? Where I'm trying to decode what my wife is doing. That's problematic, right? And it's far more engaging to say, I feel hurt. If I can be vulnerable, that is an invitation to the other to enter into my feelings.
Right.
Right? But if I'm being contemptuous, meaning describing the other, telling the other how they are and how they should be, well, that doesn't go anywhere. Well,
Right.
it does go somewhere.
It just doesn't go
Somewhere
well.
bad. It goes somewhere bad.
Yeah,
Right.
it's assumptions. It's assumptions at the end of the day, and I think I was just talking to a client about assumptions yesterday,
Yes.
and I was just realizing, like, as my client was talking, I was just like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know,
Exactly.
right? And that's where I was kind of like, I was trying to help her understand, like, you don't know, so actually, this isn't even about the other people. We can kind of like put them aside
Absolutely.
for your own sake. Living in a space where you think you know something's going on with someone, but you actually don't know. First of all, there's that tinge of doubt you have, right? Because you just don't, you can't 100% say you know they did this.
Yes.
And then you're just getting angry and you're becoming resentful based off of we don't even have solid information.
Exactly. Yes.
And so that's really hard. And then I think you're just not existing out of a place of mercy. So maybe this can
Wow.
we can bring in you talk. I don't know if we ever posted it, but in one of you were talking about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse with
Yes.
Gottman. And so you talked about mercy or
Mercy's a big
humility
deal. Yeah.
and bringing it in there. And as you were talking, I was just thinking, and I'm a sanguine, so temperament wise, I am like naturally pretty merciful towards people.
Yes.
It's not, I don't really hold a grudge or don't assume a negative thing, which is such a blessing. And so I was just thinking about it, and I was like, wow, I don't often exist in a place where someone is just doing things to hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, I can't remember the last time I was like, wow, this person is just trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, so to kind of get that perspective in there and usually they're not. Usually people, and I've been honestly generally pretty right about that throughout my whole life. No one has super intentionally wanted maliciously to hurt me.
Yeah.
And so in that, usually it's acting out of wound if I am being hurt by someone or just different things. And to be able to have that mercy to see, okay, like, especially for my partner who's probably going to be the person who's going to bother me the most in my life.
Absolutely.
Just like in my experience, it's been family who's always can do that. So they're going to become family and then it's going to be hard there.
Yes.
And just kind of not assuming, okay, even if my partner is hurting me or doing hurtful things, or maybe they are trying to, but they're not necessarily, well, okay, dang. I would like to talk about that because
Because let's be
I'd
clear,
be shocked to experience
sometimes
that.
couples get
Are
angry.
trying to hurt each other.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Okay. So I can see that in the space of,
you can get in a very dark place where you feel like, oh, I've been hurt. Okay.
Right.
Now I'm about to hurt you. Yes.
Right. No, I remember
you're in a pretty dark place at that point. Your marriage is in a tough place when you have gotten to a point where you are doing that. But let's be clear. People get there.
Right.
Right? And whether it's intentional or unintentional, whatever, that's kind of a whole nother dynamic when we're there. I mean, people can heal. You know, Gottman's work has been really good at getting people out of what he calls negative sentiment override, this idea where it's just hard for you to imagine anything good in your marriage or in your partner, where you always expect criticism, critique. So you stop engaging, right? Or your only engagements are like attack.
Right.
Because you're so much on the defensive because you've been hurt so much that your only option is to feel, my only option is to attack.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because I've been wounded so much.
Yeah, that makes me so sad, actually.
Yeah. It's pretty dark.
Right.
Right.
You have to be in such a low place to feel that way. And you must be having really hard experiences.
Oh, absolutely.
And like it's, any space of really struggling to see hope or to see things getting better. That's just such a hard place to be in. And then it's in your marriage and there's another person involved. Oh, there's children involved.
Yes.
That sounds truly overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, let's just say a woman with 3 or 4 children who feels her husband is not kind to her. They want to persevere in the marriage, but they don't believe they're ever going to be happy in their marriage. So they just can descend into being kind of nasty,
Right.
right? Once again, couples who reach that point, they can't get help. People heal,
Right.
right? And I think in particular for Christian and or Catholic couples, they have this added grace of this faith component,
Right.
right? That really, I mean, God is real. God heals,
Yeah.
right? And God heals relationships,
Yeah.
right? I've seen it over and over again. So anyway,
Yeah. That's really interesting. My first thought is, what do you think are like the warning signs of maybe getting to that point for maybe someone who's listening who thinks like they won't get there?
yes.
Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I was like, what? I was like, what is that sound? Yeah. What do you think those might be for a couple who's like, okay, like we would never get there, but maybe they do have some things going on and they
Yes.
can't see them,
Yes.
and they just need the language for it or like it
Exactly.
pointed out. Yeah.
So if we're being healthy, you would never want to say, that would never happen to me,
Ooh. Yeah.
right? You would want to say, I'm just as broken as the next person and I can be unhealthy.
You're right. Yeah.
Now, because I've said that, I can be on guard, right? Because it's just little decisions over time that get us there,
Right.
right? Once again, you get married, you have work, you have financial distress, you have babies, there's sexual tension, right? When you get married, you don't expect any of that. You're not really thinking about
Yeah.
all that and what it actually means, right? Things change, right? A man has to share his wife with children,
Right.
right? Now she's not just his. One of my clients said one time, after we started having children, I just felt like my wife was not for me. She was for the kids,
Right.
right? And that was a negative, right? He was saying, I feel lonely. I feel not desired, right? And step by step, as we take these steps along the way, we descend into being distant. We start to think things negatively about the other,
Right.
right? Or we're just lonely and we don't know what to do about it. And that could be both parties, right? And that's a dangerous place to be,
Right.
is feeling lonely, uncared for, unseen.
Especially going into it thinking, I'm never going to be lonely again.
Never.
Right.
And once again, when you get married, you add children, daily stressors, a husband loses his job.
Yeah.
All these things are the trials that, if you're going to be healthy, would take, hopefully, both parties to be empathetic, kind,
Yeah.
gentle, in dealing with the other when they're in pain or suffering loss.
Right.
Right? When I'm in pain and I go to my wife and I'm looking for solidarity, togetherness, and I get rejection or blame,
Right.
that's problematic. All right?
Hmm.
So once again, not many of us think about that
Right.
going into marriage, right?
Right. It's like
But it starts to happen pretty fast.
Yeah. I feel like we have to fight against, and I know Catholics already do this, right? And we have marriage prep, we have different things. But even then, I feel like the, I guess, commercialization of marriage or the, there's another word I can't think of. But just that it's like this fun, big party, and you get to do all these pretty
Fun things
cute,
together.
fun things,
Yes.
and then you're
Kind
like
of
married.
happily ever after.
And then you get this honeymoon, and then it's like you're just so prepping for like the marriage and the honeymoon, and then it's like you have 30, 50 plus years together with this person.
Exactly.
That, and you can prepare for that in 9 months when the majority of the thing you're stressing about is this big party you're gonna throw.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'm so excited. That sounds so fun, but it's just interesting as you're talking. I'm just thinking, wow, like as a culture, or I think even for Catholics, potentially,
Of course.
marriage should be, I don't like saying should,
Yeah.
but I think here it could
To
be
be
used.
healthy.
To be healthy, it should be taken very, very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And it seems like, I of course know people in my life, like where it was taken seriously, but then still it's...
We have unrealistic dreams about it.
Right.
Unrealistic ideas about what this is going to look like.
Right.
We're saturated in a culture that paints pictures of happily ever after.
Right.
That really is difficult, right? Because it doesn't paint the reality of, once again, getting married, having kids, working, paying a mortgage, starting a business. All these things create stressors, right? And you want to help the couple stay in connection, stay connected emotionally. Gottman calls it stay attuned, right? Being aware of the other's world, being empathetic of the other's world, and being a partner for them. Like you said earlier, right? Your primary job is to get your partner to heaven. Our primary job is to be present and loving in the moment. Right? And I think focusing on that, right, being intentional, being in the moment, really helps us to stay attuned and connected, as opposed to being absorbently fearful about the future.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That creates some difficulties.
Right, of course. Yeah. Staying present, trusting God, surrendering. I was thinking about, as you were talking, what you think or how important you would say really learning about yourself, going on your own healing journey, whether that's therapy, reading books, spiritual direction, whatever that looks like, to like prepare yourself for marriage, because it sounds like a lot of it is, I really do have to take self-responsibility and take care of myself to show up for my spouse or show up for my kids.
Absolutely.
And realistically, probably more men than women don't really go experience or attempt to find healing from their experiences, or and even women too. I think there's a kind of therapy aversion, or just like we're so busy and we're so caught up in life that we're really not taking the time out to learn a lot about ourselves and then enter into marriage like regulated, or even knowing what my triggers are, knowing like, oh, maybe like I need to take a step back from this conversation, like stuff like that. Yeah.
So that is a big issue in marriage is, what is my history? Right? I may think, oh, yeah, I had a father that was critical and not affirming, but I'm over it. Then I get married, right? And then all that stuff starts to manifest itself in my marriage. Right? So I think what you're saying is on target, right? We always need to be figuring out what's going on with ourselves, right? And you said it perfectly when you said, in order to show up for my wife and my children, I need to be regulated and healthy within myself. If I'm not, right, that doesn't tend to happen.
Right, exactly. Okay, yeah. No, that makes sense. I just want to encourage, I think it's like, the idea is like, I don't want to say it that way, but no, I'm going to say it. If you desire like a healthy, flourishing Catholic marriage, take a step back, look at your history. And it doesn't, right, you said critical, unaffirming father, right? I think a lot of people think, oh my gosh, like, but my life was still good and things were great,
Exactly.
And it's not this big T trauma or whatever. I wasn't abused, or my dad didn't like beat me up or whatever, but he was so emotionally
distant,
not there. And I think part of that is this lack of understanding of how deep we are, or how, there's a word I'm looking for that I'm missing, but there's so much nuance to the human person.
Absolutely.
I'm not just like, okay, it was pretty good. My life was pretty good, so I'm fine, and I could just chug along. It's like, oh, there's so many, I have a heart and a soul and a mind and a body and a spirit, and, I have a connection with God, and I've my family members, and I'm made for community, I'm made for love, but when did I not experience love? And all of these different things in that that is just going to affect you no matter if you think, oh, but other people had it worse.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm fine. That
I hear a lot
a
of
wound
that.
is a wound.
Yeah,
is
I
a
hear
wound.
a lot of that.
Yeah. So just encouraging people that even if you maybe don't have language for what your wounds were,
Yes.
but you know you've felt hurt in your life,
Exactly.
and you have felt dismissed or unloved, and you probably have beliefs or different things that come out of that, or you treat people differently because of your experiences,
Yes.
that it's really okay and beautiful and good to learn more about that, get some more language, and
Yep.
seek healing. If you really do desire to flourish, not just
As
for
an
marriage,
individual.
but for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about one last thing
Awesome.
because I just mentioned, we're mind, body, soul, spirit, all those things.
Yep.
Our body is so important. You've talked a little bit about like sexual intimacy and that coming up in marriage. I know I work, with sexual wounds, and Marie, my sister, your daughter, sent us a text about men watching pornography and how it affects their wives. And yeah, I just wanted to maybe let you speak into how much you see sexual wounds coming up in marriage, maybe kind of what it looks like and what advice or help or what can be kind of done there.
Yeah.
Because especially for Catholics, as we try not to have sex before marriage,
Yes.
that doesn't always go our way. But so those wounds before marriage, the wounds that come up in marriage, all of those things. Yeah.
Yes. So, of course, sexuality is important for marriage. And many people come into marriage with past trauma around sexuality. Many people come into marriage now a lot of men and young women having a history of pornography. I've had clients that have been exposed to pornography since the age of 5. Right, and younger, and that have experienced sexual abuse at very young ages. And that could get covered up, like maybe not talked about before you get married. Right, and then of course that's going to manifest itself in the marriage somewhere along the way. But what I find, I'm going to kind of shift a little bit, to be more probably universal is the natural change in sexual desire. Right? You get married, you think, I'm never not going to want to have sex with my partner, right? I can't stop thinking about it now. Of course, when we get married, that'll be something we'll always have. Once again, there's stress, there's children. All these things happen where our sexual desires change. And I think it's incredibly important when couples are dealing with these issues that they be gentle with each other, right? You can imagine a man who's frustrated sexually and his wife, once again, home, 3 babies under 5. I often ask the question, what would make a woman with 3 young children under 5 want to have sex, right? She's being touched all day. She's breastfeeding, maybe breastfeeding 2 kids, right? So she's touched out by the end of the day. Then the husband comes home, and what does he want to do? He wants to be intimate. Working through those issues with gentleness is the key. What tends to happen is the man may be frustrated. He may criticize, accuse his wife of not being available in a way that's not healthy. And then that starts to create resentment and more separation. It makes the woman in this particular situation want sex even less because my husband's not there for me. He's not understanding what's going on with me. He can't see I'm overwhelmed with 3 kids. That can become a problem. But if you do find yourself in a marriage where there's past sexual trauma that is manifesting itself in the marriage, I would suggest get help as soon as possible to deal with those issues. Once again, I was working with this one person who had been abused at 5, and I was working with her using IFS, Internal Family Systems, which is a parts modality. And I had to reflect on her 5-year-old self. And she blamed her 5-year-old self for being weak, not capable of protecting herself. She should have done something. in therapy, we were able to get her a place to understand, no, it wasn't your fault.
Mm-hmm.
And this event doesn't define you at all,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she was able to incorporate her 5-year-old self into the present
Mm-hmm.
and understand she didn't have to be weighed down by that trauma any longer.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really recommend people in particular who have any kind of sexual trauma or concerns to get help as soon as possible.
Yeah. And
Right?
just share it within their dating relationship before they get married.
I think that would be very healthy if you could do that, yes.
Right. I
But
know.
then you're not caught, you're not surprised
Right.
once you enter into marriage and this problem manifests itself.
Right. I also just think, right, like something like pornography. Like I've been exposed to pornography and I still watch it or whatever. That's something to bring up in a relationship. And I know
Yes.
Amongst friends and people I've known, there's a lot of fear, or I'm not a virgin. For women, I think it's more particularly a fear amongst dating, in the Catholic space especially, because I know women who've had bad experience. They bring it up to their boyfriend and he does not treat them well. Because of it.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I'd be scared of that, you know?
Yes.
But yeah, just to be, I think maybe as honest as soon as possible in the dating relationship when you know, like you are attempting, you're trying to get to marriage here, so that you can kind of even experience some healing if this is your person,
Yes.
that they receive you well in this space.
Yeah.
And you can kind of experience, I feel like I've experienced healing in men seeing me in that, receiving me well, not being, upset, or there's no shame in it, that there's just like a love there. And then I think then you're not hiding anything too.
Yes.
I think there's oftentimes like this idea of like you're 6 months in and there's so much fear around, like, okay, what if I tell them, this thing and they leave me?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, I don't know. I'm sure there's a certain amount, like where things don't share things, but when you're getting very serious in the relationship and you do think it's moving towards marriage, that there shouldn't be a lot of hidden things.
Hidden? So
Hidden.
this is something, I think this may be kind of a modern phenomenon. This idea that maybe I need to expose all my sexual history to a particular
Yeah, tell me what you think. Yeah,
partner.
tell me what you think about that.
Well, I think it's ridiculous.
All of it? I'm just saying general ideas. General ideas. I am not a virgin. Yeah, that's probably a good thing to share with someone who you're going to get married to.
Why? Why is that a good idea?
Because that's something, don't you think that's something they deserve to know?
They absolutely don't deserve to know that.
At what point do you think you can get married and have information about your sexual history that they don't know about?
If it has no impact on
This is so interesting.
the couple, why do I need to divulge all my sexual history to a potential partner? What would be the good of that?
Okay, let's say it's not. Did you say honesty?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of it to me is just
not in detail.
I'm not saying details. I'm just saying being honest, but also actually beyond just being honest. Well, because first of all, you can kind of see some things in a partner, right? How they treat you, what they think about you. Like I've been around men who've talked about they're not talking about me, but they're talking about women like me or who've had experiences like me, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I know how they think about how they talk about women, and that there's not a lot of compassion or mercy or empathy there for hard experiences. So that there's that kind of thing. I think in the vein of honesty, but more so like, hey, I have this sexual history that will affect our marriage probably. That's what I think is true. That whether
why
I've
would
seen
that affect the marriage? So I had this one client who
yes.
whose wife told him about her sexual history, and it kind of stayed in his mind because he was not sexually active before marriage,
Right.
and he kind of always held this kind of, I don't know if it was resentment or something towards his wife. So once again, why is it necessary if I'm dating to divulge my sexual history? If it's right, if I am a porn addict, right, that would be important. Or if I had, right? Because that would definitely impact the marriage. But why? What would be the good?
I think because then they know about you. They know about you and your experiences. So if I have had other sexual experiences, I've had sexual wounds, I've seen pornography, I've had other sexual partners, and what was going on around that. What, that I share that with somebody and they know me more fully and they know why these things have happened. And they know that for me, I know my history is going to affect my marriage and affect the sexual intimacy in my marriage. I know it is. I would be, I feel like, remiss of me to pretend like it wouldn't. And so in the same way with, with a guy or anybody, that your sexual experiences do affect you. And it's not just that I'm sharing it with you. I'm sharing it with you to be honest, because that would be, if you found out later and I lied to you or I didn't tell you something, that seems strange to me. And that I trust you with that. And if you're like the guy you're talking about, your client who is resentful or thinking about it all the time, I think that's something he needs to figure out.
Absolutely.
Right? I don't think it's her that
it's not her
fault for telling him, and
right,
because
absolutely.
but and just even knowing that might come up.
So I think it's important, right? So these things can happen and they can be healthy. It can be healthy for someone to share their sexual history in some way, and hopefully not in a detailed way.
No details.
But I think we want to ask the question seriously.
Right.
What is the good I hope to receive if I share this information? Right? What is the good? Right?
Yeah. Do you think what is not good about it? About being honest and having someone know you in your life.
So this idea of being honest, does that mean I need to share everything I've done before I met my partner? What do you mean by being honest?
Well, I just think that your sexual history is a big deal.
Okay.
I think it is a big deal because if you go into marriage thinking, oh, my spouse is a virgin, like that's crazy to go into marriage thinking my spouse is a virgin and they're not a virgin.
Okay.
Doesn't that seem a little...
Why is that important again?
I don't think it's important in the sense like they need to know.
Is it?
It's because to know the person, to know their life, and that there's not.
So you think knowing your partner's sexual history is going to teach you about your partner?
I think yes, it definitely can. Because when I talk about, I see my sexual history as a whole, I see all of the roots and all the different things of how it came about. And I would not want to ever feel like, details again, numbers or like this exact thing happened. Don't think that's important. But like, this is what my life has looked like.
Wouldn't that be honest?
That would be honest, but I think there's tact in being honest. There's a tactfulness in being honest. Mom, do you want to say something? I don't think this is going anywhere, but I'm intrigued. What if we get something good out of it?
I think
I just don't know how you could say lying to your partner.
Where's the lie?
The lie it's a lie of omission. You're not being...
So I think it would be good if we got a Catholic priest on here.
Yeah.
And asked this question.
Right.
Right. Am I morally obliged? Because this is what we're saying. Am I morally obliged to share with a potential partner my sexual history?
So when you say sexual history, I'm not sure. I think you're morally obliged to tell your spouse that if your spouse thinks you're a virgin and you're not, I think you have an obligation to tell them, right? Because I think what Bella's saying is that it brings another dynamic into your marriage.
Once again,
and I don't think anybody wants to be lied to. Like, what if that came out later? I'm like, and. So I just feel like that, I think, like I said, I agree with Bella, like no details, numbers, all that stuff. And if that person needs that for something, then that also tells you about that other person.
Okay. Also, so once again, we got to ask the fundamental questions, and that's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right?
So I would
Are you arguing a person is morally obliged to tell their future partner about their sexual history? Morally obliged.
I'm thinking about the terms for an annulment, right? And one of those terms is entering into a marriage information has been, you can't freely choose because information has been withheld from you, right? That's a part of being able to get an annulment. So I don't know what the requirements for what that kind of information is. It's not like, oh, I had a pet dog, whatever, and he died. Like, that's not the information. But yeah, maybe I've had multiple sexual partners, or I really struggle with a porn addiction, or I don't know about, like, but I even think, what are my traumas? I've experienced sexual abuse. Like, these are things that this person who I become one with. So that's what I don't know about this moral idea of it, but
morally obligated.
Morally obligated. I think, yes. I think maybe morally obligated, because I think it is right that if I am going to choose to spend the rest of my life with someone, become one with them, have children with them, that I should be privy to not all these little details, but a general consensus of what their life has looked like before we get married.
So the reason why I'm asking these questions, right? And I wouldn't want a woman or a man to feel their sexual past continues to define them.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right? That's number one. Plus, I would want a person to ask themselves diligently, why am I doing this?
I agree.
What do I hope to get out of sharing my sexual history? And depending on that answer, for each individual, is going to guide their conscience as to what they do.
Right.
This idea about being honest or deceiving, right? I'm not talking about that at all.
Right.
Right? I'm not talking about, hide stuff from your future partner. I'm just saying it is important for the person in that situation to ask themselves the right questions.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
What is the fruit of this going to be?
Right.
And even ask somebody, a priest,
get some guidance.
Therapist, get some guidance when you're entering into dating, right? Because once again, there is kind of a phenomena amongst young people dating to share their sexual experiences with their partner, because they feel some obligation that in order for you to know me, you need to know my sexual history. And I'm kind of like, what?
I think it just gives the people an option. So, like, I do know men, who I think they're good men, who, like, really who would not potentially want to date me because of my past sexual history.
Yeah.
And so in that, in dating in, like, a Christian or Catholic space, and knowing, like, a guy maybe wants someone
Would
who
you
doesn't,
even want to be with that guy?
No. But I'm just saying, what it helps me out is, say I'm going on dates with a guy I've never met before, and we're starting to get serious. We're seriously considering being boyfriend and girlfriend, exclusively dating. I, for everybody's sake, would want to have a very small, like, hey, we're going to have some non-negotiable discussions. We're going to start dating seriously to see if we want to get married. That, hey, like, this is probably something you should know. Here's a little bit about my sexual history. If this is a problem for you or whatever, we can talk more about it. But I'm doing it purely because I do think it does inform the rest of our relationship, and it might inform if you want to date me, or and I think that's,
I'm only suggesting that person in that situation ask themselves what they hope to get out of revealing that information, right? And to be thoughtful and intentional about understanding themselves and what they're doing, right? So you don't do something that you don't need to do at that time that might even hurt you, right? Why does this person, I mean, and then how many people are you going to reveal that information to, right? At what point, do you see what I'm saying? How I can get a little...
I mean, I don't mind, but that's because of my temperament. I don't really care if people, like, this is things that have happened in my life, and they don't define me. And maybe that's why I'm in a place, I have healed. I've experienced a lot of healing and a lot of love from friends, family, even ex-boyfriends in this space. So for me, it is in an effort to be really honest and to be clear and to make sure that we're on the same page. And then it's like, okay, now, do you have anything you want to share? So maybe we can continue to have this conversation. And I seriously mean only if I'm very seriously gone on many dates with this person, getting to know them, trusting them more, and discerning seriously dating them.
Okay.
I don't think it's like we've gone on 2 dates, let me tell you, my whole life story. But I do hear what you're saying, and I actually do think that's really important, because I think a lot of people, and I've experienced in my own life, sharing my sexual history with people to have an emotional connection or response before I've really entered into my healing journey, like especially in college. Like I definitely shared parts of my story and parts of myself with people I didn't need to. Yes.
I would suggest, that's not particularly healthy.
Yeah. No.
So once again, I just kind of in conclusion,
right.
I'm not saying it's one is morally right or one is morally wrong.
Right.
But that person should know. That person should question.
Right.
And get some direction as to why they're doing it, why they feel it's necessary to expose their sexual past to a person that may not even become their husband.
Right.
Right? That seems a little difficult for me. Right? And I think it'd be worth doing some research to determine, is there some moral obligation? Right? Because I'm not sure that there is. Right? And I'm not saying a person shouldn't do that, but
I think the moral obligation is generally that conversation's going to come up. Generally speaking, in a serious dating relationship, within going into marriage, the conversation about your sexual history and your sexual life is going to come up. And so if you purposely omit things that are purposely lie, basically, or if they ask you a question and you say you don't want to answer, that would be interesting. You guys would have to figure that out. But I just think that conversation is going to come up one way or the other. And if your partner or the person you're going to marry asks you, like, hey, what has happened here, and you don't want to tell them, I think that's more telling of your relationship with the person than of anything else. So I don't know if it's a moral obligation, but there shouldn't be a lie. You shouldn't be omitting information, I think, from the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And if you don't trust them, or you don't feel comfortable in sharing that with somebody, I think that I would have to look internally and be like, does this person not treat me well, that I don't trust them to share my past with them? Because the hope would be that in any loving, beautiful relationship, you can share so much of yourself and be received in love. And I think that's honestly such a healing aspect of relationship and marriage. So
absolutely. Good.
Anyways, okay, I think that was great.
Yeah.
I think that was all good.
Awesome.
If you guys like this video, like this conversation, just go ahead and subscribe to our channel, like this video. If you're watching on Apple or listening on Apple Podcasts or listening on Spotify, subscribe to our channels there.
Awesome.
We just appreciate your support. But yeah, thanks so much, Dad.
Thank you so much. God bless all our viewers.